The wind howled like a demon unleashed, whipping snow into my face as my father's calloused hands shoved me backward off the porch, my boots slipping on the icy steps. "You're no son of mine anymore, Elijah. Get the hell out before I drag you to the sheriff myself." His words sliced deeper than the sub-zero bite, echoing in the night as the cabin door slammed shut behind him, sealing me out into the white void. I stumbled into the blizzard, heart pounding not from the cold but from the raw betrayal of the only home I'd ever known, realizing in that frozen instant that love in our family had always been conditional, and mine had just expired. I don't remember much of the first hour out there, just the blur of white and the way my lungs burned with every ragged breath. Blackwood Falls, Montana, our family's logging outpost tucked in the Bitterroot Mountains, was no stranger to brutal winters, but this one felt personal, like the sky itself was conspiring with my blood to bury me alive. I'd grown up idolizing Dad's stories of frontier grit, how our ancestors had carved out this life from nothing but axes and sheer will. "Real men endure," he'd say, slapping my back after a day felling pines. But tonight, as I clawed my way through drifts up to my knees, those words twisted into a cruel joke. "Real men don't kiss other men in the shadows of the woodshed," I guessed. It started innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself in the numb haze. Last summer, after high school graduation, I'd taken a job at the local diner to save for community college in Missoula. That's where I met Isaiah. He rolled in one rainy afternoon, his beat-up Ford pickup caked in mud from some off-grid adventure, ordering black coffee and pie like he owned the place. Tall, with that effortless swagger, dark hair tousled under a wool beanie, hazel eyes that crinkled when he grinned. He was the kind of guy who made the air feel charged, like a storm about to break. "You new here?" he'd asked, leaning on the counter, and I'd stammered something about small-town monotony, my cheeks flushing hotter than the grill. We talked for hours that shift, him spinning tales of backpacking the Pacific Crest Trail, me confessing dreams of escaping to a city where folks didn't stare if you weren't married by 25. Isaiah was 23, a freelance photographer chasing the raw American soul, as he put it, funding gigs with odd jobs in Bozeman. He wasn't from around here, grew up in Seattle, bounced around foster homes after his mom overdosed when he was 12. "Family's overrated," he'd said with a shrug that didn't quite hide the shadow in his eyes. "You make your own." By closing time, he'd scribbled his number on a napkin, and just like that, the hook was set. Our first real date was a hike up to Sapphire Lake, under a sky so blue it hurt to look at. We packed sandwiches and a six-pack, laughing as we dodged roots and shared secrets like contraband. He told me about the first boy he'd loved, a foster brother who vanished without a word, leaving Isaiah with scars that ran deeper than the ones from street fights. "I swore I'd never let anyone in again," he admitted, skipping a stone across the water. I wanted to tell him about the gnawing ache I'd felt since puberty, watching the lumberjacks at the mill with their easy camaraderie, wondering why my gaze lingered on the wrong ones. But I bottled it, like always. Dad's Bible-thumping sermons on Sundays had drilled in that queerness was a sin, a weakness that'd doom you to hellfire or worse, irrelevance in a town where legacy meant sons who carried on the family name. Instead, I kissed him there by the lake, tentative at first, his lips tasting of salt and possibility. It was electric, the kind of spark that rewires your soul. From then on, we stole moments. Midnight drives on back roads, his hand on my thigh as we fogged up the truck windows, whispers in the dark of what life could be if we just left. Isaiah talked big, New York, maybe, or LA, where he could sell his photos and I'd study graphic design. "We'll build something real, Elijah. No more hiding." His voice, roughened by cigarettes and optimism, made me believe it. For the first time, I felt seen, not as the quiet kid trailing his old man's shadow, but as me, flawed, fierce, alive. But secrets fester in places like Blackwood. Mom suspected something. Her sidelong glances at dinner sharpened, her questions about my late shifts laced with steel. Dad was oblivious, buried in ledgers for the mill, but my little sister, Ruthie, 16 and sharp as a hatchet, caught us once. She'd snuck out to smoke behind the barn and stumbled on Isaiah and me, tangled in the hayloft, his shirt half unbuttoned. Her gasp echoed like a gunshot. "Elijah? What the?" I shoved Isaiah away, panic clawing my throat, but she bolted before I could explain. That night, she told Mom everything, tears streaming as she spat. He's ruining us. God's gonna punish him. The reckoning came fast. Dad called a family meeting after church, the air thick with pot roast and unspoken dread. Mom clutched her rosary. Ruthie wouldn't meet my eyes. We know about your indiscretions, Dad growled, his face a mask of granite. That boy's poison, Elijah. The devil's work. I tried to argue. Love wasn't a sin, it was survival, but his fist slammed the table, rattling the silverware. This family's built on faith and blood. You think I raised a fairy to parade around my town? The slurs flew like shrapnel. Pansy, queer, abomination. Mom wept silently, begging me to pray it away, while Ruthie hissed that I was selfish, dragging God's wrath on us all. They gave me an ultimatum: repent, see the pastor for conversion therapy, or leave. I chose truth over chains, packing a duffel with trembling hands. But as dawn broke and the first flakes fell, Dad's rage peaked. He caught me slipping out the back, Isaiah's text lighting up my phone. Waiting at the trailhead. We got this. Traitor, Dad snarled, yanking me by the collar. The shove into the storm wasn't just exile, it was erasure. He wanted the cold to finish what his disappointment started. I trudged toward the old logging road, visibility zero, my thin jacket no match for the gale. Frostbite nipped at my fingers, but worse was the ache in my chest, the echo of Mom's final whisper through the door. Don't make me choose, son. Too late for that. Hypothermia crept in like an old friend, blurring the pines into ghosts. I thought of Isaiah, his laugh, the way he'd trace my jawline and murmur, "You're my anchor, Eli." If I didn't make it, he'd wait forever, a vigil for a fool who couldn't outrun his roots. Then, headlights pierced the maelstrom, faint at first, then blinding. A truck skidded to a halt, door flying open. Elijah, Jesus, get in. Isaiah's voice, raw with terror. He hauled me inside, cranking the heat, wrapping me in his coat that smelled of pine and him. What happened? Your text stopped. I drove like hell when you didn't show. Sobs choked me as I spilled it all, the rejection, the shove. He held me tight, our breaths mingling in the cab's warmth, his resolve stealing mine. We're done here. Missoula tonight, then gone for good. We holed up in a roadside motel, the kind with neon flickering vacancy like a bad omen. Isaiah doctored my frost-nipped skin with salve from his pack, his touch gentle, eyes fierce. They don't get to break you. Not while I'm breathing. That night, as the storm raged outside, we lay entwined, not in lust, but in the quiet desperation of two souls forging a pact. He sketched me in his notebook, capturing the vulnerability in my face, whispering promises of sunlit coasts and galleries hung with our story. I believed him, because in his arms, the world's cruelty felt distant, conquerable. But dawn brought reality's bite. My phone buzzed, Dad's number. I almost smashed it, but curiosity won. Come home, boy. We forgive you. Just end it with him. The words dripped false honey, but Isaiah snatched the phone, ending the call. Don't. They're poison. He was right, yet a sliver of doubt wormed in. Family was all I'd known. We hit the road south, Isaiah's truck eating miles, radio crooning Springsteen anthems about working-class dreams deferred. Missoula welcomed us with gray skies and college bustle, a far cry from Blackwood's isolation. Isaiah crashed with a buddy, a barista named Jax who eyed me warily but offered his couch. I enrolled late at the university, scraping by on loans and diner shifts, while Isaiah hustled prints at art fairs. Our love bloomed in stolen pockets. Picnics by the Clark Fork, where he'd read me Whitman under willows, late-night drives to stargaze, his head on my shoulder as we named constellations after our scars. Yet shadows lingered. I'd wake from nightmares of Dad's face, twisted in rage, or Ruthie's accusatory stare. Isaiah noticed, pulling me close. Talk to me, Eli. So I did, unburdening the guilt that clung like damp fog, how I'd failed them, how part of me still yearned for absolution. He listened without judgment, sharing his own ghosts, the foster dad who beat him for acting soft, the system that chewed him up. We're both runaways, he'd say, but together, we're unbreakable. 3 months in, it felt like truth. We found a dingy apartment above a laundromat, walls thin but ours. Isaiah's photos started selling, moody shots of Montana's wild heart, laced with our hidden narratives. I designed flyers for local queer youth groups, finding purpose in voices like mine. One evening, as snow dusted the windows again, he proposed a road trip west. California, Eli. Beaches, rainbows, our fresh start. I kissed him fiercely, tasting freedom. But freedom's a fragile thing. A letter arrived from Blackwood, postmarked Mom's careful script. Your father's sick. Heart trouble. Come home before it's too late. We need you. My stomach nodded. Isaiah urged caution. It's a trap, but Blood's pull was inexorable. Just to see, I promised. He relented, eyes stormy. I'll go with you. No secrets this time. The drive north was tense, autumn leaves surrendering to early frost. Isaiah's hand gripped mine over the gearshift, a lifeline. As Blackwood's sign loomed, welcome to God's country, dread coiled tight. The cabin looked unchanged, smoke curling from the chimney like an invitation to hell. Dad answered the door, gaunt, eyes hollow. Elijah, no warmth, just weariness. Mom hugged me stiffly, Ruthie hovering, her belly slightly rounded. Pregnant? At 16? We gathered in the kitchen, Isaiah excluded to the porch like an unwelcome dog. Dad's diagnosis was real. Congestive heart failure, the mill's dust catching up. I need you back, son. Run the books, keep things steady. The offer dangled. Forgiveness for servitude, Isaiah erased. I balked, voice cracking. I'm not leaving him. Or who I am. Fury flashed in Dad's eyes, but Mom's plea broke me. For Ruthie. The baby's father split. Family's all she's got. Guilt crashed like a wave. Isaiah, sensing the fracture, pulled me aside later. Don't do it, Eli. They'll swallow you whole. But doubt festered. That night, as he slept, I slipped out, driving Isaiah's truck back to Missoula alone. A note. Just need space. Love you. Be back soon. Cowardice, pure and simple. Days blurred into weeks. I threw myself into work, avoiding calls, telling myself it was temporary. Isaiah's texts turned from worried to wounded. Talk to me. Please. Then silence. When I finally returned to Blackwood for good, tail between legs, Isaiah's voicemail a gut punch of finality. The family welcomed me with open arms, conditional as ever. Good choice, Dad rasped, clapping my shoulder. Ruthie confided her fears over tea, the baby a boy, named after Grandpa. Mom prayed with me, her hand on mine, whispering of redemption. Isaiah vanished from my life like smoke, his number disconnected, apartment sublet. I told myself it was for the best, small-town stability over uncertain dreams. But at night, alone in my old room, the walls closed in, echoing with what-ifs. I'd traded love for duty, and the hollowness grew, a blizzard in my bones. Winter deepened, Dad's health teetering. One storm-ravaged night, as I shoveled the drive, headlights cut the dark. Isaiah's truck, unmistakable. He stormed out, face etched with betrayal. You ghosted me, Eli. For them. Words tumbled. My fears, the pull of blood. He listened, then laughed bitterly. I drove all night because I thought you were dead. Again. His eyes, once warm, now fractured. But you're choosing chains. I can't watch that. He left me there, snow swallowing his taillights. I sank to my knees, the cold seeping in, realizing too late that family wasn't blood. It was the one who'd braved the storm for me. But pride, that stubborn American vice, kept me rooted. Months passed. Dad stabilized on my watch. Ruthie's baby, little Caleb, arriving healthy, his cries a tether. Yet Isaiah haunted me, a ghost in every snapshot on my feed. Him in Portland now, photos bolder, life unbound. Then the call came, shattering the fragile peace. Ruthie, hysterical. Elijah, the sheriff's here. They think you stole from the mill. My blood ran cold. Dad, wheezing from his chair. Books are short 50 grand, son. Your signatures. Forgery? No, I'd balanced them meticulously. But the ledgers, altered in my absence? Mom's face, ashen. We didn't. But if we don't pin it, the bank's foreclosing. Betrayal's blade twisted deep. My own family, framing me to save their legacy. Isaiah's warning echoed. They're poison. As cuffs clicked on my wrists, the deputy muttering about family disputes gone wrong. I met Dad's gaze. remorse flickering, then extinguished. For the greater good, Elijah. Jail in Hamilton, the county seat, was a concrete purgatory, fluorescent hum, iron bunks, men with eyes like shattered glass. I paced my cell, mind reeling. 50 grand where? Dad's gambling debts, hidden from Mom, the real thief. But proof? None, until a visitor, Isaiah, slipping through the glass partition like a miracle. Heard through the grapevine. Couldn't stay away. His voice, steady despite the hurt. I know a guy, pro bono lawyer from the ACLU. Queer rights case, they'll bite. He came every week, bringing books, clippings of his exhibits, bridging the chasm I'd carved. I never stopped loving you, fool, he admitted one gray afternoon. But trust? That's earned back. Tears blurred the plexiglass as I confessed the full rot. Dad's hypocrisy, Mom's complicity, Ruthie's silence. Isaiah squeezed the receiver. Fight it. For us. The trial loomed. A media circus, small-town scandal with a gay twist, headlines screaming local heir accused in embezzlement shocker. Protests outside. Churchgoers with signs God hates thieves, countered by rainbow flags from Missoula allies. Isaiah rallied. Inside, the courtroom reeked of polished wood and lies. Dad testified, voice quavering. My boy's always been troubled. The lifestyle. It changes a man. Objection overruled. The slur hung, poisoning the jury pool. My lawyer, a sharp-tongued firebrand named Lena from the ACLU's Montana branch, tore into the inconsistencies like a chainsaw through knotty pine. Your client signed these ledgers? She'd demand in prep sessions, her braids swinging like pendulums. I'd nod, recounting the endless nights poring over invoices by lamplight, Dad's cough punctuating the silence. But Lena smelled the setup, the timestamps off by days, ink fresh on old dates. Digital forensics, she grinned. They'll crack it wide open. Isaiah's presence was my anchor, his visits a ritual of quiet rebellion. He'd bring contraband sketches. Us on that California beach we'd never reached, waves curling like promises. Visualize it, Eli, he'd say, pressing the paper to the glass. Jury sees a victim, not a villain. His faith in me chipped at the shame, rebuilding something resilient. Yet doubt not. What if conviction stuck? 10 years, minimum, for felony theft. My youth, my queerness, fodder for harsher sentences in a state where tough on crime meant tossing keys. The prosecution painted me as the prodigal son gone rogue, a cautionary tale for Blackwood's faithful. Elijah Harlan turned his back on God and family. The DA intoned, slick as a televangelist, flashing ledgers riddled with my forged initials. Mom took the stand, dabbing tears with a lace hanky. He was always rebellious. After that boy, he changed. The courtroom tittered. I gripped the table, knuckles white. Ruthie followed, cradling Caleb, her testimony a knife. Elijah handled the money when I couldn't. But I saw discrepancies, thousands missing. Lies, all of it, her eyes sliding away from mine. Dad's turn was the gut punch. Propped in a wheelchair, oxygen mask dangling, he croaked through the betrayal. I trusted him. My own flesh. Whispers rippled. Sympathy for the ailing patriarch. Suspicion on the deviant son. Lena cross-examined ruthlessly. Mr. Harlan, your gambling records. Care to explain the casino tabs totaling $62,000 last year? Dad blanched, stammering denials, but the seed was planted. Jurors shifted, glances sharpening. Recess brought Isaiah to the hall, slipping me a note. You're a warrior. Hold. His words fueled the fire. Back in lockup, inmates ribbed me. Pretty boy got a sugar daddy? But I held my head high, trading stories of resilience. Big Mike, a lifer for armed robbery, shared his own regrets. Family'll sell you out faster than a snitch. Find your tribe. His gruff wisdom echoed Isaiah's. Blood optional, loyalty earned. The forensic report dropped like a bomb on day 3. Timestamps manipulated via outdated software, signatures scanned and overlaid. Lena paraded the tech expert, a bespectacled whiz from Bozeman State, dismantling the fraud pixel by pixel. Amateur work, he shrugged. Easy to trace back to the original device. Gasps echoed. The DA flushed crimson. Dad's empire crumbled in real time. His debts exposed. The mill's books a house of cards. Closing arguments were theater. Prosecution pleading for justice in a fractured family. Lena countering with homophobia's oldest trick. Blame the queer kid to bury your sins. The jury deliberated 2 days, tension coiling like barbed wire. Isaiah waited outside with protesters, their chants a distant hum. Free Elijah. Love wins. When the verdict came, not guilty, across the board, the room erupted. I collapsed into Lena's hug, sobs racking me, as deputies unlocked the cuffs. Isaiah was there in the chaos, pulling me into an embrace that smelled of rain and redemption. Told you, he murmured, lips brushing my temple. Reporters swarmed, flashes blinding, but we slipped away to his truck, the mountains blurring past as we fled to Missoula. Freedom tasted bittersweet, victory laced with loss. What now? I whispered, head on his shoulder. He squeezed my hand. We built. No looking back. But backstories don't vanish like bad debts. Ruthie called a week later, voice small. Dad's confessing everything. To the bank, the pastor, even Mom. Silence stretched, heavy with unsaid apologies. He said, he was scared. Of losing the mill, of you being different. But it was wrong. I heard Caleb cooing in the background, innocence amid the wreckage. I knew Eli. About the ledgers. I'm sorry. Her admission cracked something in me. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. Families fracture, but fractures can mend crooked. Mom's letter followed, pages trembling in my grip. We failed you, son. Pride blinded us. Pray for us, as we pray for healing. Enclosed was Dad's will, revised, half the mill to me, the rest to Ruthie, with a codicil, for the boy who endured the storm. Tears blurred the ink. It wasn't absolution, but a bridge, rickety and real. Isaiah and I dove into reconstruction. He landed a gallery show in Portland, Frontier Queers, Portraits of Defiance, featuring my story, anonymized but raw. I enrolled full-time at Missoula, majoring in social work, volunteering with at-risk youth. Our apartment upgraded to a cozy walk-up with a view of the river, walls hung with his prints. Us, intertwined in sunlight, defying the cold. Yet misunderstandings lingered like frostbite scars. One night, over takeout Thai, Isaiah broached the ghost. You ever think about going back? For good. His tone casual, but eyes guarded. I set down my fork, heart stuttering. No. But. Visiting. Maybe. With you. Vulnerability flickered. He'd feared abandonment anew. I took his hand, tracing the calluses from camera grips. You're my family now? The one I chose. He pulled me close, kiss deepening into affirmation. No passion's fire, but love's steady burn. Spring thawed the bitter roots, and we tested the waters. A weekend in Blackwood, neutral ground. Dad, frilier but clearer-eyed, met us on the porch. No shove this time, just a nod. Isaiah. Respect edged the word. Mom fussed with pie. Ruthie introduced Caleb, who gummed Isaiah's finger with gummy trust. Conversations skirted edges, mill woes, baby milestones, until Dad cleared his throat. I was wrong, Elijah. About you. About love. The admission hung, imperfect, but seismic. Isaiah's grip tightened under the table. We stayed 2 days, leaving with tentative peace. Life accelerated. Isaiah's exhibit sold out, critics hailing his visceral humanism. I interned at a queer hotline, channeling pain into purpose. But high tides bring undertows. Summer solstice, a package arrived. Isaiah's, forwarded from Portland. Inside, a thumb drive, labeled unsent. Curiosity piqued, I plugged it in alone, while he scouted locations for a new series. Files unfolded, voicemails I'd never heard, dated from my Blackwood exile. His voice, cracked. Eli, if you're hearing this, I failed. Drove back last night, found your note. It hurts, man, thought we were endgame. Another, saw your family's obit page mock-up online. Wait, no, just paranoia. Miss you. Then, the gut trencher, footage from the trial's first day, him in the crowd, tears streaming as Dad testified. A whispered confession to the camera, I love him still. But if he chooses them again, I walk. For me. Shock rooted me. He documented the agony, a private vigil I never knew. Betrayal stung, not his, but mine, for the silence I'd imposed. When he returned, arms laden with wildflowers, I played it back. No accusations, just raw honesty. Why hide this? He deflated, sinking beside me. Didn't want pity or pressure. Thought you'd moved on. Misunderstanding's web spun from fear. We unraveled it thread by thread, nights of talks under starlit roofs, rebuilding trust brick by honest brick. I almost lost you twice, he admitted. Can't risk a third. I vowed transparency, no more half-shadows. Our bond deepened, not in grand gestures, but quiet rituals. Morning coffee shared, dreams voiced at dawn. Fall brought climax unbidden. Dad's health crashed, a stroke, mid-harvest. The call yanked me north, Isaiah insisting on coming. Hospital air sterile, beeps a dirge. Dad, tubes snaking, gripped my hand weakly. Finish it, son. The truth. He confessed to the pastor, the town, embezzlement his, born of desperation to fund Ruthie's future, mom complicit in silence. Feared you'd eclipse me, then hated what you revealed in me. Catharsis, bitter as bile. He passed at midnight, room bathed in moonlight. Mom wept into my shoulder. Ruthie clung to Isaiah like kin. Funeral was a subdued affair. Lumberman in flannel, him subdued. Eulogy mine. He taught endurance, but love? That I learned elsewhere. Whispers followed, but nods too, Blackwood evolving, grudgingly. Back in Missoula, grief's weight settled. Isaiah held space. No fixes, just presence. You're enough, he'd murmur, as I journaled the mess. Dad's flaws mirroring my own insecurities. Therapy unpacked it. Generational trauma, homophobia's inheritance. I emerged lighter, advocating fiercer. Winter circled again, anniversary of the blizzard. We drove to Sapphire Lake, now frozen-rimmed. Isaiah unpacked a thermos, blankets. We huddled, breaths clouding. Full circle, he said, pulling a small box. Not ring, but keys. Cabin in the Cascades. Ours. No strings, just home. Tears froze on my lashes. Yes. As stars wheeled, I realized the arc. Thrown out, framed, redeemed, not by blood, but choice. Love's blizzard had raged, but we'd emerged, intertwined, humanly whole. Yet wholeness is illusion, fragile as new snow. Portland beckoned. Isaiah's big break, a solo exhibit at a Pearl District gallery. Echoes of exile, queer American landscapes. We packed the truck with canvases and hopes, Montana shrinking in the rearview. The city hit like a fever dream. Hipsters on fixies, food carts steaming with falafel and craft brews. Rainbow crosswalks a defiant middle finger to the heartland's chill. Our sublet overlooked the Willamette, barge horns a lullaby. This is it, Eli, Isaiah grinned, unpacking. The canvas we paint on now. He thrived. Curators buzzing, collectors snapping up prints of rusted silos and lovers' silhouettes against Badlands sunsets. I freelanced designs for queer nonprofits, zooming with Missoula mentors. Nights, we'd wander Alberta Arts District, hands brushing in crowds, anonymous in diversity. But anonymity bred its own ghosts. One gallery opening, amid clinking glasses and velvet ropes, a familiar face. Trent, Isaiah's foster brother from Seattle days. The one who'd vanished, leaving scars. Trent, older, wearier, clapped Isaiah's back. Bro, saw your stuff online. Proud as hell. Awkward hugs, then drinks at a dive bar, stories spilling like cheap whiskey. Trent's life, couch surfing, odd jobs, a string of bad choices. You got out clean, he slurred, eyeing me. Lucky bastard. Isaiah tensed, old wounds reopening. Later, in bed, he confessed. He bailed when things got real. Left me holding the bag with the social worker. Trust's fracture line, exposed. I listened, but unease stirred. Trent's lingering glances, the way he'd text Isaiah at odd hours. Just ghosts, Isaiah dismissed. But ghosts haunt. A week in, I found deleted messages. Miss our talks, man. Remember that summer? We could pick up. Ambiguous, but laced with history. Jealousy, that petty American sin, gnawed. Was I the rebound, the safe harbor after Trent's storm? I buried it, American style, gym sessions, craft beer with new friends, performative busyness. But tension simmered. Exhibit peaked with a panel, queer narratives in rural America. Isaiah eloquent, me in the front row, pride swelling. Q&A turned, a heckler, burly in a MAGA cap, snarling. This agenda's destroying families. Real men don't prance. Security dragged him out, but the venom lingered, echoing Dad's slurs. Isaiah faltered post-panel, retreating to the green room. "It's too close," he muttered. I held him, but inside, the old fear. Am I poisoned too? Portland's underbelly revealed itself slowly. Isaiah's schedule ballooned. Shoots in the gorge, networking mixers, leaving me adrift in a city of transients. I dove into a project, a zine for displaced queer youth, interviewing runaways via video calls. Their stories mirrored mine. Kicked out at 17, couch hopping, survival sex skirted but shadowed. One kid, Jamie from Idaho, broke me. Family said I was cursed. Now I'm just lost. I poured it into pages, Isaiah photographing contributors, our collaboration a bomb. But Trent circled. He crashed our couch after a binge, reeking of regret. Just till payday, he vowed. Nights blurred, him regaling us with wild tales, Isaiah laughing in that unguarded way, me the outsider. One dawn, I woke to murmurs, Trent in the kitchen, Isaiah's hand on his arm. "You could have stayed back then," Isaiah said softly. Trent's reply, scared shitless. "Of feelings. Of you." My stomach dropped. I feigned sleep, heart hammering. Confrontation brewed. Over breakfast, awkward pancakes, I snapped. "What's with the history tour, guys?" Isaiah blinked, hurt flashing. "Eli, it's closure." Trent smirked. "Jealous?" "Cute." The barb landed. I stormed out, pounding pavement along the river, rain slicking my face. Misunderstandings vortex. Is past mine to police? Or boundaries blurred? Isaiah found me at a bench by the steel bridge, soaked but steady. "Trent's leaving tomorrow. For good." His eyes searched mine. "But us?" "Talk." We did, raw under the downpour. My insecurities from Blackwood's betrayal, his reluctance to burden me with old baggage. "You're not second," he insisted. "You're the first who stayed." Trent shipped out, a hug goodbye, no encores. Trust patched, stronger for the tear. Summer sweltered into fall. The zine launched to acclaim, a staple at queer-lit fests. Isaiah's star rose, a commission from the Smithsonian, documenting LGBTQ+ landmarks. We road-tripped east, Stonewall echoes in NYC subways, Blackwood's shadow in rural detours. One night in Ohio, motel flickering, he proposed truly. No keys, but vows whispered over takeout. "Marry me, Eli." Not for show, for us. Tears, yes, a future etched. But American dreams fracture on realities. Back in Portland, a call from Ruthie. "Mom's cancer, stage 3. Aggressive. She wants you." Duty siren song. Isaiah, fresh from a shoot, nodded. "Go. I'll hold the fort." But his eyes, wary, remembering my last vanishing act. I promised weekly calls, video dates. He squeezed my hand. "Come back whole." Blackwood swallowed me again. Autumn leaves blood red. Mom, chemo pale, gripped my arm at the clinic. "Missed you, son." Ruthie, toddler Caleb in tow, baked pies like peace offerings. The mill limped under a manager, Dad's ghost, in every ledger. I dove in, balancing books with forensic care, finding solace in routine. Mom's treatments dragged. Good days of porch chats, bad ones of vomit bowls and regret. Isaiah's calls sustained, galleries buzzing. "Miss your laugh." But distance warped, his voice tinny, my exhaustion masking. One night, tipsy on hospital coffee, I confessed, "Feels like before. Like I'm slipping back." He paused, heavy. "Then don't. Fight for us." Guilt gnawed. Was I? Trent's text arrived innocuous. Saw Isaiah's work. "Killer. Tell him congrats." But attached, a photo, him and Isaiah, arms slung post-exhibit, grins wide. Context? Old, probably. But paranoia bloomed. Had he wormed back? I grilled Isaiah next call. Trent again. Defensiveness flared. "Eli, let it go. He's nothing." The seed of doubt sprouted misunderstandings weed. Mom rallied briefly. Holidays of forced Norman Rockwell. Turkey, carols, Caleb's sticky hugs. Isaiah flew in, tension thawing over eggnog. "Beautiful," he whispered of the chaos, but his grip lingered tight. Post-Christmas, Mom crashed, hospice talk. I stayed, Isaiah returning to deadlines. Calls shortened, his exhaustion mirrored mine. Climax cracked open on New Year's Eve. Portland party invite, big donors, career maker. Wish you were here. He texted, photo of glittering crowd. I stared at my phone in the dim kitchen, Mom asleep upstairs, Ruthie out with friends. Loneliness crashed, him shining without me anchored and dying. I fired back, go have fun. Seems you don't need me anyway. Petty, born of fear. His reply, what the hell? After everything? Audio followed, voice laced with hurt. I'm killing myself here. Eli, solo in a sea of strangers, wishing for your hand. And you pull this. Silence after. I didn't respond, pride's prison. Dawn brought regret. I drove to Missoula, airport bound, but a blizzard, ironic fury, grounded flights. Stranded in a coffee shop, snow piling, Isaiah's final message. If this is goodbye, know I fought. But I can't chase ghosts. Heart shattered. I hitched south, desperation fueling. Portland, 2 days later. Our door locked, note taped, need space. Key under mat. Love always, but not like this. Inside, emptiness echoed, his clothes gone, walls bare save one print. Us by Sapphire Lake, inscribed endure together. Sobs racked. I torched it all, misunderstandings blaze. Days blurred, wandering rainy streets, zine work abandoned, calls to Ruthie ignored. Mom's update, stable, but probing, where's Isaiah? Truth spilled in fragments. Her sigh, don't repeat our mistakes, son. Fight for light. Revelation hit via email. Trent, forwarding Isaiah's exhibit catalog. Dedication page, to Eli, my exile's end. Without you, these landscapes are barren. Timestamp, pre our fight. Misread signals, my jealousy the thief. I drove north, uninvited, Blackwood first, Mom's blessing, go. We're mending, you meant to. Bitter roots dusted white again, but I pressed on, Montana's spine to Oregon's coast. Portland's lights beckoned, resolve steel. His studio, door ajar, lights spilling, camera clicks. I knocked, heart thunder. Isaiah, mid-shot of a derelict pier, turned, shock, then wariness. Eli? What? Words tumbled, apologies, confessions, the thumb drive's echo reversed. I was scared, of losing you to the world, to Trent's shadow. But you're my world. He set the camera down, eyes glistening. Thought you'd chosen duty again. Hurt like hellfire. Embrace followed, fierce, rain slick. I choose us. Always. Reconciliations work, therapy tandem, boundaries redrawn. Trent blocked, ghosts exorcised. Mom's remission brought cautious visits, Blackwood softening. Ruthie's wedding, Caleb flower boy, Isaiah best man. Spring bloomed. We wed in a Cascades clearing, wildflowers and witnesses. Lena, Jax, even Mom, frail but beaming. Vows simple. Through blizzards and betrayals, I choose you. Rings exchanged, sun dappling. Romance's pinnacle, humanistic grace. Marriage anchored us, but life's currents test moorings. Portland pulsed as home base, Isaiah's career a rising tide. National Geographic spreads on queer migrations, me co-authoring captions from lived scars. Our cabin in the Cascades became sanctuary. Weekends chopping wood, not for survival but joy. Lakes swims under July suns. Caleb's visits, Ruthie's trust rebuilt, filled it with chaos. Toddler tantrums, Isaiah's goofy photos capturing unfiltered love. Yet depth demands descent. Isaiah's wanderlust clashed my nesting. A month-long shoot in the Southwest loomed. Come, he urged. Document with me. Duty tugged, Mom's checkups, zine deadlines. 2 weeks, I compromised. He left with a kiss, promising dailies, sun-baked mesas, Navajo storytellers sharing two-spirit lore. Solitude amplified echoes. Alone, I revisited Dad's journals, inherited postmortem, entries of quiet despair, mill pressures, unspoken affections for a boyhood friend lost to war. Buried it deep, one read. Can't let Elijah suffer same. Layers peeled, his homophobia fear, not hatred, projection's cruel mirror. Empathy bloomed, tardy but true. I wrote him letters unsent, forgiveness inked. Isaiah's dispatches thrilled, met a trans elder today, her words on belonging? Gold. But subtext simmered, photos of him, windswept and solitary, stirring old fears. A call, voice distant, miss you but this. It's alive. Loneliness gnawed. Was I holding him back? Climax brewed in absence. Ruthie's emergency. Caleb feverish, hospital dash. Mom stable, but her plea. Family needs you, Eli. I flew east, Montana's grip tightening. Text to Isaiah, kids sick. Staying. His reply, understood. Focus there. Kurt, but I read rejection. Days in Blackwood. Caleb's pneumonia warded off, but vigils toll heavy. Mom confided over broth. Your father's ghost haunts me with what-ifs. Her hand in mine, we grieved aloud. His flaws, our complicity. Ruthie apologized anew. Framed you to protect the baby. Selfish. Hugs mended, crooked. Isaiah's silence stretched, a week, then two. Panic-crested, I called Jax. He okay? Hesitation. Yeah, just. Processing. Said something about space. Heart plummeted, echo of our fight. I drove west, storm-chasing irony, cascades veiled in fog. Cabin dark, note on door, needed air. Back soon. Love. Inside, his scent lingered, camera bag half-packed. Dread coiled, misunderstanding specter. I waited, pacing fur floors, memories montage. Blizzard rescue, trials grip, weddings vow. Dawn broke, truck rumbled. Isaiah, dust-streaked, entered, exhaustion etched. Eli? You're here. Relief, then tension. Thought you needed space. I ventured. He laughed hollow. No, you did. Your texts. Felt like goodbye. Misread again. My brevity, his fatigue. Wires crossed. Unpacking. The shoot's intensity. Isolation amplifying doubts. Felt like I was dragging you from roots, he admitted. Blackwood calls. Portland pulls. Where's home? My turn. Home's you idiot. Roots can wait. Laughter broke ice. We rebuilt. Vowing check-ins. No assumptions. Resolution rippled outward. Mom's health stabilized. Visits balanced. Blackwood a chapter, not chain. Ruthie's mill steak thrived. Her partnership with a local artist. Woman. Out and proud. Sparking town talks. Progress's slow burn. Caleb called Isaiah Unca Izzy. Bond's blood-deep optional. Isaiah's magnum opus launched. American Exiles. Book touring the heartland. We crisscrossed. D.C. panels on policy. Texas dives with activists. One night in Nashville, post-reading, a fan approached. Young, wide-eyed. Your story. Saved me. Came out last week. Isaiah teared, pulling me on stage for impromptu thanks. Spotlight's warmth. Purpose shared. Challenges persisted. Health scares minor. Career forks tempting. Isaiah eyed Europe. I anchored Portland's scene. Compromise. Sabbaticals tandem. Dreams dovetailed. Therapy evolved. Couple sessions unpacking generational weights. Emerging lighter. Winter's Eve. Anniversary 2nd. We returned to Sapphire. Thawed now. Autumn gold's fading. Picnic echoes. Sandwiches. Stories. He sketched me anew. Lines softer. 10 years from the shove, he mused. Look at us. Indeed, scarred, but soaring. Climax's shadow lifted. Life's plot twisted gentler. Mom passed springtide. Peaceful. Garden surrounded. Us at bedside. Eulogy joint. Isaiah's photos slideshow. My words weaving her redemption. Blackwood burial. Community hushed. Rainbow pins on lapels. Quiet evolution. Inheritance. Mill partial mine. Sold to co-op. Workers owning. Legacy redeemed. Proceeds funded scholarships. Queer rural youth. Escape hatches. Ruthie thrived. Caleb's world wider. Years layered. 30s dawned. Us adopting. Twin boys from Portland foster. Echoes of Isaiah's past healed. Parenting's drama. Scraped knees. Bedtime tales of blizzards braved. Daddy Eli through the first snowball. Isaiah quip. Our laughter chorus. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Conflicts to character. Romance endured. Not fireworks, but hearth glow. Coffee mornings, trail holds. Humanistic close. No tidy bows, but grace and grit. We'd been thrown, framed, misunderstood, yet chosen each other, again and again. In America's vast, flawed tapestry, our thread gleamed. Love's defiant stitch, weaving through storms to sun. And in that weave, we found not just survival, but song.